I cannot think of any other way of grounding my message for the year 2020 as this year ends and as we are about to start the festive season, other than using a book of the 18th century by Charles Dickens, A Tale of Two Cities. It's well known, but let me just read the extract that I need from the book. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. I think this book, right at the beginning of Charles Dickens' exposition, is very appropriate for this year that has been very challenging. But it's been the best of times in so many ways, and of course the worst of times. There's been lots of wisdom shared as we responded to many of the challenges we faced as an institution, as a country, as the entire world. The academic year 2020 at DUT started very well, rather unusual for DUT, in that we started on schedule on the 3rd of February. So it was the best of times. Of course, soon thereafter, a few weeks thereafter, there was lockdown, as you know, in March, towards the end of March. And of course, for the whole country, for the whole world, that was the worst of times for us, something very unusual, which forced all of us, as a result of lockdown, to stop so many things we had been used to doing in a particular way. It forced us to find new ways, new mechanisms of getting on with our business. But it was also a time of great wisdom in the manner in which management, Exco of Council, Council itself, other stakeholders, Senate, Senex, the Executive Management Committee grappled with the challenges we faced of lockdown. So we learned quite a lot. We implemented quite a lot of things, and I do know that some of us may not have believed in so many things we tried to do under very trying circumstances and without much time we had on our hands to try and do the best we could have done. But we did the best we could do during this difficult period. It was the best of times because we had just at the end of 2019, or Council actually had approved our Envision 2030. And we started the year with some aspects of implementation of Envision 2030. Our values and principles, the Living Values Project, was being implemented. I'm aware that it's not been implemented throughout the system, but there is lots of work that's been done by our institutional planning unit, by HR, in a quest to embed our values and principles. And I have begun to see a number of structures, a number of students, whenever they have issues to put on the table, referring to all aspects of our values and principles. Transparency, honesty, integrity, respect, accountability, fairness, professionalism, commitment, compassion, excellence. I've seen that in many emails and documents that have been exchanged among us as the university community. So I'm excited that even though the year was a challenging one, aspects of our Envision 2030 have begun to be embedded in the whole psyche of the university and producing what we call the DUT way in an incremental way, of course. The return of our students and staff from about June 2020, actually more like May for some of them, was or did usher in a season of light, a season of hope, that even though we had started the year as of March looking like it's the worst of times, we began to see light and hope that we could finish the academic year, which we are about to finish. We are in the last stages of our academic year 2020, even though it goes into the first few weeks of January 2021. But there's been a lot of hope. There's been a lot of light as a result of that. We also saw the best of times epitomized by the Times Higher Education World University Rankings for 2021, where DUT was ranked among the top 500 universities in the world and also became one of the top 5 universities in this country. There are many, many achievements that I will not mention, but just the epitome, which is the Times Higher Education World University Rankings. And that shows that even though as a university we are young relative to our counterparts in this country, that in our establishment we're never meant to be a research-intensive university. Neither are we a research-intensive university still, but nevertheless we are able to punch above our weight as an institution in terms of our research outputs. Even though the volumes may be much lower than many other universities, the quality is certainly much higher through citations and so forth. So I stand here to thank all our people who, even when we thought we were facing the worst of times, even when some of us may have thought maybe management was ushering in an age of foolishness, an epoch of incredulity, I thank all of those staff members who showed and demonstrated their belief in the university itself, who began to see the season of light and the spring of hope in everything we're doing together as the university community to fight against the challenge that the whole world has been facing since end of last year on the coronavirus. So I should thank all our people, thank our students. I've mentioned that it was the best of times because for the first time in many years, we were able to start our academic year as scheduled. So the leadership of our students, the SRC, must have played a critical role in ensuring that we can move away from the past and see 2020 as the beginning of focus on excellence that we all seek, and that has made us one of the top 5 institutions in this country. I should thank our staff members, academic and support. Really, we are in management leading, but the real leaders are yourselves. You are leading your own lives. You may not be a manager, you may not be an administrator, but through your focus on your tasks, on your function, you contribute towards making this university greater than we could ever have imagined. So thank you very much to all our staff members for their responsiveness, for their resilience during these challenging times we had. I should also thank all our stakeholders, governments, its agencies, funders, partners, who continued to believe in us and supported us financially and in kind in many other ways. Because had that support not been provided to us, it would have been very difficult to get through this academic year. I must also thank, I don't know how many meetings we had, Joint Executive Management Committee and Senex meetings, Senex on behalf of Senate. Senate is a big body, it can't easily meet at short notice, so Senex will be there to represent the academic interests. We had these joint meetings, numerous joint meetings, that helped us to chart a way forward under the difficult circumstances we faced. That helped us to revise our academic calendar the way it's been revised. That helped us to ensure that teaching and learning continue, albeit in a multimodal format and quite substantially in an online format. We thank each and every one of you for those contributions you made under those difficult circumstances. I would be remiss if I were to leave out the COVID-19 response team. It's just unfortunate that after many weeks we've not had any infections at DUT, we are beginning to have infections. Of course, it's part of what is happening throughout the country with the second wave having come in. But in a manner similar to the one that we saw from the COVID-19 response team, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to contain the rate of infections at DUT to an acceptable level. Of course, we live in a country where so much is happening, where infections are increasing by the day. But I have trust that we'll be able to contain these infections at DUT and ensure we do not become one of the super spreaders that we see in the country. I wish to thank all other statutory, like the Institutional Forum, and non-statutory structures that we have at the university, including the unions, for the roles that they have been playing in making sure the institution continues to operate as it has been. In particular, with regard to Envision 2030, I wish to thank the Institutional Planning Unit, the Strategic Plan Working Group, and another group that was set up to look at our baseline data that we can use then to stretch ourselves to 2030, the data working group. And all in all, our EXCO of Council, it also has had numerous meetings on behalf of Council under the leadership of Mr. Wiseman Matinane. We thank them for their counsel, for their wisdom. Just yesterday we had a meeting of the Human Resources Committee where we got advice that being people that sometimes find ourselves in the trenches, we sometimes never see above the trenches. And our EXCO of Council, our council itself, are always there on the surface whilst we are down in the trenches to give us advice that we don't easily see down there. So we thank them very much for their dedication to this institution. Now, this is, of course, the end of the year message. And after having acknowledged as many as I could, and I may have left out some very important bodies at this institution that I may not have mentioned by name, but we really appreciate all the contributions that our students and staff and many other stakeholders have made to make this institution run as it ran during the course of this year. Now, hot on the heels of our president's announcement last night, we still have a challenge as a people. We still have a challenge as a university to ensure that in as much as the festive season has begun, we act responsibly in terms of all the precautions around COVID-19. So I wish this year, or this festive season, be a restive one, given all the restrictions we have. I hope it will also give us more time to be with our families rather than traveling up and down all over the place. I hope that will give us more time to bond with our friends and families. And in conclusion, I hope that the year 2021 will really be the spring of hope, that it will be the season of light, that it will usher in the epoch of belief, that it will signal the start of the age of wisdom here at DUT, and the best times to greatness that we will all share together now and in many years to come into the future. So may I wish you all a restive, festive season. And I know so many of us are affiliated to different religions, and I hope you will celebrate this period in the best way you can, and come back at the beginning of the year fully charged, very enthusiastic, and very hopeful about the year 2021. Enjoy yourselves and your families. Thank you very much.